Let's carry on with the file from our previous example, and let's talk a bit about area milling as well as rest machining. To get started, we're going to expand the gallery, and we want to select the toolpath called Area Mill. Inside of here, our chaining options look a bit different. This is not the standard chaining menu that we would expect to see, so the first thing that we need to do is we need to make a selection for the machining regions. I'm going to come in and I'm going to select my open pockets, so I'm going to make sure that I'm using my partial loop option. I'm going to start over here, and I'm going to move my way over to here and say OK. I'm only going to focus on this single open pocket at this time, but remember we can always come back, we can edit the chain geometry and add more chains as needed. From here I'm going to preview the chain, and notice that it's treating it like a closed pocket. The reason it's treating like that, even though we gave it a partial open chain, is because the machining strategy is set to stay inside. We want to set this to from outside and preview the chain again, and now we can see an area where it extends the cutting toolpath directly outside of that open pocket. From here, if we want to make any changes to some of the options in here, for example, if we need to avoid certain regions or geometry, if we want to tell it there's some air region where the tool can safely enter, or some containment regions if we want to keep the tool in a certain area, we can set all those chains up, and at any point in time we can preview those chains. This is going to be good enough for us right now, so we're going to say OK. We're going to move into setting our parameters. Notice that the options look the same on the right hand side of our toolpath type, so at any point in time we can come back to toolpath type and make changes to any of our selected chains. For our tool, we're going to carry on using the 1/2 inch flat, and I'm going to set a comment to Area Mill. I do also want to note in this course that we're using generic feeds and speeds on our tools. It is extremely important that you're comfortable with deciding on applicable feeds and speeds for your parts, machines, and setups. This is not information that we can supply without direct knowledge of your machine, your tool, and the material to be cut. Next, we're going to move on to cut parameters. Inside of cut parameters, notice that it has stock to leave on the floors and walls. I'm going to delete this stock to leave on the floors, and I'm only going to leave stock on the wall. So we're going to make sure that we set this to 0. And notice that the graphic changes to only show stock left on the wall. I do also want to make a note that we could make this a negative value, and the graphic will change and it'll show that as red because we're cutting farther or deeper into the geometry than the model actually would allow for. Even though Mastercam will allow that, we can cut deeper than that geometry. It will prompt us on the screen with that graphic to tell us that we've maybe entered a value that might be incorrect. For the rest of our parameters in here, we're going to leave the XY step over, which is a percentage that's basically in our configuration based on our tool. And the keep tool down within is currently set to 500% of tool diameter. This isn't really going to affect us because we're dealing with a single open pocket. However, that does come into play when we start to deal with multiple areas inside of a pocket, maybe avoidance areas or maybe different bosses that we need to go around. So this value isn't going to change anything for us now, but it is going to be important later on. We have depth cuts that we can turn on if we want to do multiple depths, and we're going to set a maximum roughing step down of 0.25. And we're going to not have any finishing step downs. We're going to allow it to finish just based on where it ends up. And it's going to go all the way down to the bottom without doing a small final cut. These aren't very deep pockets, so we're not too worried about the geometry. And really, in our case, they're just reliefs. They're not any critical geometry that we need to hold a tight tolerance to. We also have a depth cut order by region or by depth. Now in our case, again, it's not going to matter with our single contour selection, but when we start to do multiple pockets in the same operation, we might want to take a closer look at this setting. By region, we'll make sure that the tool stays in this single pocket until it's done. By depth means that every time it goes down to a Z depth, it'll cut that depth first, even if that means jumping back and forth between multiple pockets. Later on, we will see how dynamic toolpaths excel at this type of geometry. We're not going to turn on the trochoidal motion. This can potentially help us to minimize tool burial, but right now it's not going to be a big factor because we're dealing with the square end mill, a fairly open pocket here. We're not going to go into any tight areas, so it really doesn't help much with our specific geometry. There is also a transition section when we're transitioning from different areas of the pockets. This is automatically set to entry helix with the plunge rate, and I'm going to leave all these default settings, then move on to my linking parameters. Inside of here, I'll notice that clearance is turned off, and I'm going to turn that back on and set it to 1/2 inch absolute. We'll leave our retract at 1/4 inch, and notice that this changes it to an absolute value rather than incremental like we've seen before with our contour and with our pocket operation. If we want it to be incremental, we can turn that back on, but right now it's automatically set to absolute because clearance was off by default. So I'm going to change this to an incremental value. My feed plane is 0.1 incremental. My top of stock is absolute. I'm going to reset that to be the top of this pocket, and the depth is based on my contour. So we're going to say OK, allow it to calculate that operation, and we can see now that we're using area mill to get in here. The next thing that I want to do is I want to modify this by going into my geometry and selecting more chains. So I'm going to right click and add a chain. Again, using the partial option, I'm going to start by selecting this close to the edge, making sure that that green arrow is going the right direction. Then we're going to move over and select this as our ending point and say OK. Then we're going to preview the chains. Again, the strategy is from outside, so everything looks good there. Then we can regenerate this toolpath, and notice that we're now cutting both of those pockets. Notice that there is one rapid movement, and it is jumping up to that clearance plane, so it is going over that boss. The next thing that we want to do is we want to hold down the right mouse button, and we want to copy this operation after. And again, I like to move that insertion point down. Then I want to come back in and modify the parameters. In this case, we're going to change two things. We're going to change the tool. We're going to go down to tool number 9, and I'm going to set this to area mill finish, rest. Then we're going to go to the stock option and use rest material. We're going to select one other operation, and we're going to select operation number 5. What this does is it allows it to calculate the material that's left behind by these previous operations. If we simply went in and just used area mill again with a smaller tool, we'd still get the same tool path, the same amount of cuts, even though material is already gone. So in this case, I'm going to apply and preview. And notice that the tool path is only focusing on the outside area where material has been left. We're going to select OK. We're going to calculate that operation again. And notice where it's focusing its attention. There's one more parameter that we need to go in and adjust. And this is important that you remember this anytime you copy an operation. If you had any stock to leave on walls, you'll want to make sure that you go back in there and you set that to 0 if you're doing a finishing tool pass. Now you can see it looks a bit different as it's taking the tool and it's cutting the entire outside boundary. Also in this, because we had more material left in this small section, it is coming in and it's clearing that out as well. So everything here looks pretty good. I'm going to navigate back to my isometric view. Make sure that we save our file so we can move on to the next step.